Well, we'll just dive right in. So our goal today is to tell you all of the wonderful things that we learned. St. Louis joggers ready for, yes, perfect. See, everybody's ready to move their bodies after sitting at home for half a day. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to create a hyper engaged social community that achieves breakthrough fundraising results. I am joined today by my good friend Ashley at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So we worked on this together. Well, I say together. Ashley is the rock star who spent the long hours of managing and being part of this group. So our goal today is to tell you all of the wisdom that we learned in this instance, and hopefully give you some things that you can take away today and start working on in your organization to help start creating these communities, as well as seeing some fundraising results happen from there. That being said, I'll just start with a couple of housekeeping notes. Yes, this is indeed recorded. I'm going to repeat it. This is being recorded. I'm going to get that question anyways, which is totally fine. But we are recording this. We will send this out. If maybe you are here with an organization and your counterpart was supposed to attend, you're more than welcome to share that. We'll also share the recording with anyone who was unable to attend. So yes, this is being recorded. Ashley and I have a ton of knowledge to drop on you today, but please don't make this an hour where we just talk at you. Use the chat, use the Q&A. Please make this interactive with us. Ask questions as we go along. My goal is to monitor those questions as we go without advancing the slides, because I'm not always the best at that. So we'll see how that goes. We'll also save time at the end for questions and answers should you have any additional ones, but please make this interactive. It'll be much more fun to do it that way. And yeah, I think that's all the housekeeping. I don't think I forgot anything. So quick introductions to who we are. Ashley, I'm gonna let you go first.
Sure. So I am the Senior Director of Individual Giving and Foundations for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I've been with the organization for about 5 years now. And the easiest way to explain my role is to say I do everything outside of events and corporate. And so that includes any non-event Facebook fundraising.
Perfect. And tell us a little bit about AFSP as well.
Sure. So the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is focused on saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide. So we do that in 4 main areas: advocacy, research, scientific research, education, and loss support. We have chapters, 72 chapters across the country, with at least 1 in each state, where we can bring programs, advocacy days throughout the country in order to educate people about mental health and suicide prevention.
Fantastic. And then this will sound very random, but people will understand as we dive in. Tell us a little bit about your dog.
So my dog, my perfect dog, is Boudreaux. And Boudreaux is a boxer mix. He is a rescue. So, he's a little bit of many things that are special. And he is just the light of my life.
I love it. If you'll drop in the chat too, if you have a dog or a cat or any furry creature or any creature at home, maybe you have a hamster because your kiddos wanted that, let us know your pet and your pet's name, and we'll talk a little bit about why that's important to this call. But Ashley, thank you so much again for being here. Ashley and I actually got to do this presentation as well at the peer-to-peer conference in Atlanta, where we actually got to meet in person and not behind a Zoom camera. We have bodies, and she wouldn't let me stand next to her though, because I'm a little bit tall. So we presented, we're presenting much closer together today, but yeah, so thank you so much for being here. My name is Megan Rouse, and I have the longest job title here at GivePanel. I am the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Development in North America. What that means is I oversee all of our growth and customer success and everything that touches North America for GivePanel. So my amazing team is working on growing in North America. We have about 40 customers right now, and that is increasing by the minute. As I'm saying that out loud, it actually probably went up. So bringing GivePanel to North America, as well as helping customers like AFSP and others raise as much money as possible on social media. If you're new to the GivePanel family and aren't sure what we do, we are obsessed with product and innovation. So our goal is to help nonprofits meet their supporters where they are. And your supporters, like it or not, are spending a lot of time on social media, and that's where they're connected with their families and friends. So we look at ourselves as a toolbox that helps organizations use the tools that Instagram, Facebook, other social media platforms give you, and help utilize those to get more information, to raise more money. They're really great tools. They're a great starting point. The GivePanel helps you get the most out of those tools. Just going to check the chat really quick to see if we have any pups before I talk to mine. Kat is a proud dog mom. We have a rescue pit bull mix named Moose. I love it. 2 dogs, Bo, like Bo Jackson and Charlie Hustle. 6 cats. Oh my goodness, Dennis. Wow, 6 of them. 1 cat on my lap right now. I love it. That might be one of my most favorite things about working from home is all the love we can give to our pets. My dog is now super needy and dependent on me, but I have an 85-pound golden retriever named Taco. He also is the light of my life. I recently just had dinner with friends on Easter and all I talked about was my dog. And I thought, oh my God, I have no life outside of this dog. I'm hoping Taco doesn't make an appearance on this webinar. John Vick, who is in the chat, we have an over under on how many times Taco will bark. My goal is 0, but you might get to meet Taco on this call as well. And we'll talk a little bit about why obviously we're talking about pets too. So welcome, thanks everyone for being here. Just a quick survey, really quick, so we can get an idea of how you guys are using online communities right now. If you'll just jump this in the chat, A, B, or C. So we have a single online community for all of our events. That might be a Facebook group, that might be a third-party platform that you're using. B, you don't use online communities at all. Or C, we actually started a separate online community for each and every single event that we host. So if you're running, if you're hosting online communities to help support your events, let us know how you're doing that. I see Dennis has got 1 single group, looks like 1 single group so far. Don't use any, great, we're gonna talk about this today. Allison, what a rock star. Roswell, welcome, welcome. C, for some events that makes sense to me. A, great, so a good mix. So we're going to talk a lot about, well, 1, fantastic for either A, already starting your online communities, or B, being here to learn more about online communities. But we're going to talk about how we specifically started a brand new community to help fundraise for AFSP. So we're really going to focus on that sweet spot. The answer that we would like for you all to move to is C, we host a separate online community for each event. As long as it makes sense. I liked that in the chat answers as well. So what does that mean? So before we dive into that, Ashley, let's talk a little bit about AFSP's Facebook fundraising journey, why you care about thanking these people, what it looks like outside of event revenue, and then we'll dive into exactly what we accomplished together.
Sure. So I think like any other nonprofit, once Facebook started having, which I think it was probably about 5 years ago, the ability to fundraise and give through their platform, it was a little bit like a fire hose to the face, because all of these donors and donations were coming in, but we knew nothing about the donors. We had no email addresses. We had nothing. We were just getting all of this money. And so what we wanted to do was to work to learn who these people were, engage them in our mission, as well as just have the simple opportunity to thank them. And so what we started doing is just, that was like our starting point, was to how do we learn these people's information and how do we thank them? And so we did work with some people in order to, be able to post on their wall, to engage them. We started off with Messenger, using Messenger for our interactions, but the nature of our organization made Messenger a little bit difficult because it's an automated message. People are pretty quick to realize, is this a real person or is this not a real person? And so we just kind of felt like there was a distance there that we didn't really want. And so we actually started working with GivePanel because we could initiate an email journey so that we could talk directly to the individuals and they didn't feel like it was kind of like a faceless voice that was coming at them. At the same time that we started working with that, we launched what was a Facebook recognition program. So when anyone participates in any sort of fundraising event with AFSP, there is, you raise $150, you get a t-shirt, something like that. We wanted to bring that same incentive to our Facebook fundraisers. So we incorporated that as well. And these are the pictures that you see right here are 2 of our Facebook fundraisers who fundraised and were able to get some really cool AFSP gear for their fundraising efforts. And then so as a further engagement, we asked them, why is our organization important to you? Would you be willing to share a picture of yourself in your AFSP gear, as well well as why it was important for you to fundraise. So that's kind of the motive that we, or the driving force that we've had for our Facebook fundraisers is, who are they? How do we engage them? How do we just say thank you? And what else can we do them so that they feel important to AFSP, and that they know that what they're doing for us, the fundraising they're doing for us, is so vital to what we do.
That's great. Thank you. Drop in the chat for us if you are actively thinking your just organic or birthday Facebook fundraisers, and we'll keep rolling here. Anybody thinking their Facebook fundraisers? Yes, love it. Love it. Cool. So I'm going to keep rolling. So I have to close the chat so I don't move the screen. So just to give you a little bit about AFSP's Facebook challenge success. So I'll talk a little bit about what a Facebook challenge is if you're not familiar with that. But the focus of today is really about the community that supplemented that challenge. So why we talked about our dogs initially. So this is such a kudos to Ashley and her team for coming up with this concept. But what we did for our challenge was, or for AFSP's challenge, is we did a walk 50 miles with your dog in February. And y'all, this community was on fire. And we're going to show you all about why that worked and how that worked, and all of the time and love and care that Ashley put into this group. But it was, I think, if you close your eyes and think about a Venn diagram, so you have people who, you have AFSP and the mission that they serve, and you have people who are interested in either animals and or mental health, whatever that might be. And it was like this perfect marriage of finding the people in the middle. It's such a great complementary activity to mental health and mental health awareness, walking your dog, being part of your dog, or being part of your dog, being with your dog, having time with your dog. A lot of us have pets that helped us get through COVID. Like I love my husband who's walking behind me right now, but is now running out of the screen. But I don't know that we would have survived COVID without Taco. Like Taco was truly like our sense of joy every single day. And so I think mental health was brought to the forefront. Ashley will talk more about that in terms of like COVID and us being locked away, but the challenge itself was unbelievable. So when we look at this, we recruited people, mostly brand new to the organization, to take on this challenge of walking 50 miles with your dog. And I'll talk exactly what that looks like, but just wanted to share some of the success that we got from that. We had over 3,000 people register to do this event. And actually this number would be a lot higher. We closed registration because when you registered, you got a doggy bandana, small or large, depending on your size of dog. And we ran out of bandanas within the first couple of weeks. So we actually closed registration. So this number would have been a whole lot higher, which is a great problem to have. And with those registrations, AFSP got all of that contact information. So you're getting people's first name, last name, email address, mailing address, all of that great information to feed into your CRM so you can continue cultivating these people during the challenge and after the challenge. 66% conversion to active fundraisers. Active fundraiser means someone who gets one or more dollars in their fundraising. I think we all probably beat our head against the desk when we see $0 fundraisers in general, especially on Facebook, because it alerts people like, hey, this person is fundraising. But we saw a great activation in terms of active fundraisers. The total cost per active fundraiser, AFSP spent $18. And that was all in with the cost. And then average raise was $163. So we saw almost a 9-to-1 return on investment on our cost compared to what was raised. So kudos to the team, but let's talk exactly about how the group played part in this. Again, everything we covered today, you guys can use. You don't have to use this just for Facebook challenges. If you have a walk coming up, a run coming up, a cycle event, an eating contest, whatever your event might be, a shave your head, a sleep out, a gala, whatever this might be, you can apply these online communities to that event. I think more and more people are craving that sense of community, and I think our constituents are now demanding it in a different, meaningful way. So we'll share again like how we did that. My screen just froze. Are you seeing blue or pink?
Both.
Yeah, is that pink now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whee, that's so fun. So 3 secrets of creating a hyper-engaged online community. Let's just jump right in. So when we think about this, the old way, so people register for an event, typically on a third-party site using a really long form. Sometimes I worked for several organizations where to register for a race, you actually click the next button like 8 times before you actually got to register. So this is long, really hard process. You're put into another channel, i.e. email. We did use email to supplement, but that's your only way of communicating. You kind of feel, you don't really necessarily get that group mentality of, hey, I'm doing this with other people, I'm making this larger impact, because you're kind of in that individual channel of communication. So the new way, which I'll talk exactly how we did this, but we had people join this fun community. This community was lively. There were thousands of posts daily, as Ashley will attest to. There was very sensitive information that was shared. There was intimate information and personal information that was shared. There were celebrations of people walking and then celebrating. We celebrated Golden Retriever Day, which is a really spectacular day in February. All of this stuff, this magic happened in our community. And we did that again via a Facebook group. And so you're seeing, not only am I taking on this 50-mile challenge with other people, but we're making this huge impact. Maybe I only raised a couple $100, but together, we're raising almost $300,000 together, and this is how it's impacting the organization. So again, this group becomes this this sense of motivation, the sense of community, the sense of we're all in this together, and it keeps people really dug in for that full month commitment, or however long your event commitment is, versus just, I signed up, I was really excited the first week, and now it's almost like a diet, right? Like, I'm really good the first couple of days, and then I went out to dinner with my husband, and the dessert tray came by, and I thought, oh, I gotta have that. He's not on the diet. My motivation, my accountability maybe necessarily isn't there. So really quickly, a Facebook challenge, just for your reference for how we did it for AFSP and how we do this with most of our customers, is we keep everything, think about what you know about a traditional fundraising event, and now move it all to, right now we're doing these on Facebook. So a Facebook challenge looks like this. All of it happens on Facebook. We do the ads for acquisition on Facebook, your group is on Facebook, your fundraising is on Facebook. So we're keeping you, again, we're obsessed with helping organizations meet people where they are. We're keeping you in the same channel that you interact with every single day. We'll talk through like why the group plays a big part in this, and you'll get the slides after, but this is just to give you an idea of how we got people into the group. So we went from Facebook ads to the lead form to the Facebook group. So the group is kind of that hub where everyone sees that ad, let's walk our dog for 50 miles in February. We're super excited. We landed in this group, and then that's where we cultivate them to register and fundraise. So we'll talk through more about how we did that. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep rocking and rolling. Okay, secret number one, you've got to light a fire. There's a fire analogy that runs through here, so we'll see. You need a new group. So think about this as like if you went camping and you're kind of finding the place to lay your fire, you're starting to get the kindling and get all of the necessary things you need to start a fire. You need a new group for an event. Why does this matter? If you look at your Facebook group right now for just your organization, there may be 1,000 people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, whatever that might look like, but they're all in there for different reasons, right? They may not all be interested in doing this thing together. So by everybody coming into a brand new group, we're all doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. We'll see more interaction. We have everybody that's leaned in. Otherwise, what happens is we start this thing, and you have this very large group, and only a very small few people actually care about this challenge or this event or whatever that might look like. So getting a group together where we're all setting the same goals and taking action at the same time is really, really important. Oh, see, the fire analogy continues. So seeding the group with champions as well. So not only is it important to talk through like getting everybody in the new group, but what happens? What happens when you are the first to arrive in a group or at a party? We'll talk a little bit more about this, but the group will eventually, and Ashley will smile when I say this, eventually manage itself, right? You spend a lot of time nurturing and loving this group, but we want to set the group up with the right culture and have the right feeling starting. So it is super important to avoid what we call the cold start program. And we do that, we kind of fake it a little bit. We do that by having what we call group champions. So these are your staff, your volunteers. Everyone has probably some top fundraisers or donors or volunteers they could think of to help with this, that basically get in the group and start off exactly how you want to see them, how you want to see the group progress. So champions, these are super important. One, if you're listening to this call, you are one person, and Ashley will tell you about this. You're one person in a Facebook group. The posting and the engagement and the excitement, it happens in all hours of the day. I check my Facebook right when I wake up, which is terrible. I'm trying to get better about that. And I look at it before I go to bed. Well, I go to bed after, probably before Ashley, because I go to bed super early. But so my point is that this engagement, that these things are happening all the time. And so these champions are there to help increase your bandwidth as well as support the group. So here's the 4 things you want to make sure your group champions have. And you're going to spend time with these champions. You're going to love on these champions, but they are an extension of your organization in that group, helping with the loving and the nurturing of that. And Ashley's going to talk specifically about how she utilized her champions, but they have to be passionate about your cause. This is the most important thing. You cannot fake this. You have to care about the mission. You have to care about the money that's being raised and the work it's going to do. You have to authentically show up and be passionate about the cause. I think you also need to be closely connected to the organization. Again, this is staff, this is a volunteer, this drives into the passion, but it's someone who is going to take on the commitment of being in this group. The group is really exciting the first couple of weeks. It's exciting the whole time, but there is what we call some champion burnout sometimes. So it's someone who's going to be connected and passionate. They also need to be doing whatever the event is. If this is your Facebook challenge, if this is your head shaving event, if this is your walk, if this is your sleep out, whatever this might be, these people need to be doing this as well as fundraising alongside. So they're in with everyone else that's joining this event. So I'm putting in these miles. Here's my blister. Oh, I just got my first donation. We can't, again, that all has to be very, very authentic, and it's important that that's authentic. Also, it's super, super important. The good news is anyone can be a champion. Like my mom, who is not listening, she's not great at social media, but she's on Facebook. All you have to be able to do is post on Facebook, navigate to a Facebook group, be able to share images, like comments, we'll talk through that, but you have to just be social native in the fact that you're not, we are all very guilty of corporate speak. This is human to human interaction. This is like you're talking with your friends and your family on social media. So someone who is not using corporate speak. I should talk a little bit about what that looks like for your champions setting the tone.
Sure. So for us, we chose staff members to be our champions. So we chose about 4 staff members to be in the group to kind of help set that tone. Another thing for us that we really wanted to use staff for is, now they didn't overtly say that they were staff. They didn't like promote that they were staff, but they were just in there because also the nature of our organization. Should someone, and this did happen, do a crisis message or someone want any assistance, resources for mental health, we wanted staff to be able to address those questions versus having to go through a training process with volunteers as well as then have them be a champion. So our champions, very quickly, once the group set up, we again started setting that tone. Here's Jessica, one of our champions, with her cutie little dog that she posted often about. And so when people joined the group, essentially there were conversations always happening. I will be very transparent. To the first 2 weeks, we were in it to win it. We were in it consistently all throughout the day, posting, liking. Anytime someone joined the group and started posting, we were giving it a lot of love so that it would promote it. So it was definitely nose to the grindstone for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, the tone was set so that we didn't have to be every single post, absolutely everything. From there, the group kind of took it upon themselves. But they were speaking a lot and liking a lot, so that again, the party was already started as people got in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you can see on this post too, if you look at the bottom, is just the reactions in the comments. So one thing to remember, and you're going to see this as a theme as we talk through these specific examples, is you are going to live in your group, actually lived in that group, like she just said, all day, all night for a long time. But as a participant or just a constituent, I don't live in Facebook groups. I live in my news feed. So the more interactions, engagement that these posts get, the more they show up in news feeds. So they're bringing people back to the group in that. So that's part of the secret and the magic there as well. There's a couple more champion posts.
Yeah, and so these were, well, you can see one was Megan, the other was myself. And so these were like instructions one, and I would say it did work really well. GivePanel recommended doing kind of instruction of like, here are the things you need to do once you get in the group. And then once you've done all of it, please say done. As you can see from the comments, people were very big into saying done and interacting with this post. It was something that also was pinned to the top so that, you know, if anyone did go into the group, they could see it. And then there was reminders for that as well. Again, just another engagement opportunity, and make sure that they knew, quote unquote, what the rules were.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think exactly, you just hit the nail on the head. So not only are these clear, easy instructions, but one of the things we really focus on in these group posts is not talking at people. So by commenting done, look at that, almost 2,000 comments. So again, what a great thing for the news feed. We ask questions, you know, and you can see in my post, anyone else get started today? I cut off the comments to that, but it's not, hey, go start your fundraiser right now. No, look, I just started this, and I'm like Taco actually raised more money than I did. I've done 2 challenges now, and Taco is by far the breadwinner of our fundraising. But you know, showing that excitement. Again, no one knows that I'm associated with the organization. They definitely knew Ashley was associated with the organization, but having that conversation or asking questions versus telling people what to do to create and increase that engagement. So we also poured what we call fuel on the fire. So the way we got everybody into this group, and this may look very different depending on what event you're doing. The way we did this is, again, we had this event that was happening at this time. We're all doing the same thing. And so we used Facebook ads to push people to the event. So they were coming in at the same time. They were having some interest, whether that was in the organization and or the activity itself. We reached a lot of brand new people for AFSP as well. And that really focused the acquisition period as well. So we started ads a month before, so in January, before the February challenge. So people were coming in all at the same time, and it wasn't hurry up and wait. We weren't recruiting months and months in advance. It was, hey, you're getting ready to start. We're starting in 10 days. We're starting in 15 days, whatever that looks like. And this, not only is this, again, kind of that perfect match made in heaven with activity and organization, but our cost per lead was actually 71 cents cost per lead, which is incredible. Part of that is advertising in January. We were told by our partner that like those are really great results, and it's because January is cheap ad spend. But what a great acquisition tool for AFSP to get all of those people in the group. So talking about that community ownership. So we talked about this a little bit in those posts, but there's nothing worse than being talked at. Maybe you enjoy that. I won't speak for everybody on this call. It's not my favorite thing. We call it around here at my house a lot too, the mansplaining. But this is the thing that we are trying to avoid. We're trying to put the community first. So we're not talking at these people. We are in it with them. We are in the challenge. We are in the group. We are taking every step with them. So we kind of think about it as like hosting a party. So we talk about this at the cold start as well, but you have to show up authentically. So one, no one wants to be the first at the party. So Ashley talked a lot about having the champions posting pictures of their dogs, showing how they're going to track their mileage, which we'll see in a little bit as well. But you also just don't want to be a faceless host, right? Like when I host a party, people are coming in and I'm welcoming everyone and I'm saying hello to everyone. So it's really, really important. And Ashley took on this role for AFSP. She was the public figure for AFSP. Ashley was posting, not AFSP. There are posts in the group from AFSP, but Ashley was very visible and saying, hey, I'm here from AFSP. I'm going to be basically your cruise director for the next month or so with this challenge. Ashley did such a good job that when the challenge was ending and we were getting ready to close the group, which we'll talk about what happens with the group after, people were not only sad about this community leaving, but very thankful for Ashley for all of the time and energy she spent. People knew her, had created this relationship with her in this online community as she was that visible point of contact for the organization. Also, when we think about a party, you don't want too many rules. So we definitely want to set the culture, as Ashley said. And we do definitely get in there and we monitor, making sure that posts are appropriate and okay to share. But we don't want to set too many rules because nobody likes a party with that many rules. So again, we set the tone from the beginning and then help kind of nurture the culture as the group takes on, but encouraging that those comments and those likes and making sure people are engaged really helps with that. And then again, the fun stuff starts to happen. People are super creative and really get engaged and swept up in these groups.
So this here is, so obviously it was walk 50 miles in February with your dog. We did have a tracker that was created. I don't remember if there's a picture of that or not, but this person here actually started keeping track just on a piece of paper of all of the miles that they logged. Actually with these two, with Valiant and Jasmine, they actually were a road traveling dogs. They went from, I think, through Georgia through Florida during the challenge to log miles. But you can see that they were very specific about it. And I think also what was great, again, with the community that was built in this group, there were a number of people, because the challenge did occur in February. Weather was not great in certain parts of the country. And so also what was happening, you see she's over 50. This Mary went way over 50. They started loaning miles to other participants who weren't able to reach that 50 miles. That happened often in the group because of that. And so you just show that strength of that community that was built through the process.
Yeah, this is great. And this is a great example too of the rules. If Ashley and AFSP had said, you have to log your miles with Strava, you have to log your miles with Apple Health, with your Fitbit, whatever that might be, that rules out a lot of people. So by leaving it open-ended, we did see a lot of creative solutions like this, as well as sharing the miles. At the end of the day, behind the scenes, we don't care. We don't care if you walk 1 mile, if you walk 200 miles. It's really about that community, learning about the organization, as well as fundraising. So that sharing of miles never would have happened if that rule was set. So allowing that the community to really show up authentically together as well is really, really important.
So this person here, also in the matter of the group coming together, this person here had actually shared with the group that they didn't feel, and this happened with a few people, that they didn't feel successful because no one was donating to their campaign. They didn't feel like they were contributing to the group overall. And then they just were really discouraged and they said, hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and bow out because I'm not adding. The group was not having that. They said they were just glad that they were there. And very quickly, I think within the first hour of her posting this, she started getting donations from other members of the group and actually exceeded her goal with everyone donating. I actually went myself and I was late to the party to donate to her because she'd already well exceeded her goal. But again, you can just see the tightness and the bonds that were felt here with this group because they were supporting each other in miles and donations and making sure that overall the mission of the organization was the priority.
Yeah, that's great. This is actually my favorite post, I think, of the entire group. Yeah, so again, the rule, the culture was set up, this is a fundraising group. Yes, we're here to do all of these things. And so the group took this very seriously. And actually the team did a great job setting that fundraising tone at the beginning as well, to the point where, you know, some people were like, we're doing what we can. And this person obviously went above and beyond saying, I have to cancel myself, and she didn't have to. And then one more, Ash.
And then this one here is, okay. So bandanas, anything free is always very popular, but obviously everyone wanted to have that doggy bandana for their pet, which once we ran out, some people did not get it. And there was a little people who were just a little grumbly about that. But what was nice is that other members, not other members who got bandanas, but other members started coming up with creative solutions. Because again, the priority was this was about AFSP and the mission, not about a free bandana. And so a lot of ideas started to come out of, hey, let's make our own bandanas. And everyone could post pictures of the bandana that they created that they can share with the group. And a lot of people did do that. They actually created their own bandana that was branded AFSP and shared it with everybody, so that again, the focus of what the group was about, which was walking with your pet and the mission of AFSP, wasn't overshadowed by the fact of some people not having the opportunity to get a bandana.
Perfect. I love this one too. So actually, what's this? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, there's a lot of people that shared a lot of creative things, stuff that really, really surprised me. But you know, people obviously, in addition to sharing photos of them walking their dogs and being all these different adventures across the country, you know, we did things. Obviously, we were in February, so it fell on Valentine's Day. A lot of people were sending Valentines to their pet. I think it's called Dog Time, I think is what we did. And then this person here shared that they charted a path on their walk in the shape of a heart, and they shared that with the group as well.
Yeah. So again, allowing the group to really post freely, make this what they would like as well. And we'll talk through some of the posts that Ashley did as well. The idea, and this ties in really nicely, is the participants are the hero of this challenge. So yes, we want to love on them. We want to cultivate them. We want to teach them. We want to help them fundraise. But really, fundraisers are the hero of their own story. So we're coaching them to tell that fundraising story. So there you'll see in any online community, there's a lot of really amazing content that happens in this group. So we've shown you some examples of people sharing their why they're fundraising, sharing their struggles with fundraising, sharing their doggy miles, whatever that might be. And that is fantastic for the health of the online community, but it doesn't necessarily translate into that fundraising revenue. So your job is this right here. So the fundraisers are what we say are Batman. They're the hero of their own story, whatever that might look like. And we had people join this challenge for hundreds of different reasons. I'm ready to keep my New Year's resolution and I want to lose weight. Mental health became apparent to me during COVID, and I didn't realize how many people struggle as I started to struggle for myself. I lost a loved one. I love walking my dog. It's February and it's cold outside and I need motivation to be outside because it's going to be freezing. Whatever those reasons were, they were all super valid and welcome in this community. Your job, and Ashley did this really, really well, is you're their number one fan. You are Commissioner Gordon. You are the supportive fan that is rooting for them and guiding them along the way. So again, this content is amazing in the group, but if you don't share it outside of the group, if you don't share it on your personal profile page, in your stories, on your Facebook fundraising page, it doesn't actualize into revenue. And so this is where we'll spend a lot of time chatting, because this is what translates into that revenue. So you've got to set the tone, you've got to get the right group, you got to get the right people in the group, you got to love on them along the way, and then you've got to coach them to say, okay, how do you turn this excitement, this motivation into actual fundraising revenue? Ashley, I'll let you tell a little bit about this one.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of telling your story and however you want to share it with your fundraiser, you know, there's a variety of people, and I will tell you, for me personally, with that variety, there were some who very quickly shared their personal story or their own struggles with mental health. But as an organization, I thought it was great that we also had people who don't have a connection to suicide, but talked about how this was the first time that they were educated and learned, and that they were really, really, you know, big on that, on the fact that they felt like they were more educated and that they had more insight into mental health, which for me, I think is really great, because it's not just those who struggle, it's everyone around as well. That's equally as important. So the fundraising page, obviously they can check, you know, their status here on this post. This person here actually, you know, was able to give their stats about their work and how much they've traveled. And so that's what we tried to do. And especially if we were seeing the same kind of post, we would try to redirect and focus people's attention back on where we wanted to be. I say, for example, you know, at one point, you know, the conversation was going in a direction away from the walking. And so we posted more and really got more content going about the walking and the dog challenge, just so that we could stay on course. And people very, very easily got involved in that. And started getting back to the focus of what we were trying to achieve with this challenge. But we tried to give ideas of posting, so that everyone's like, I'm not going to post about my dog every single day doing the same thing each day. We tried to give ideas so that they would mix it up, so that their content was you know, constantly fresh, because they're not going to be sitting at their desk saying, what can I post about today? Let me plan out my calendar. That way we were able to kind of give them the idea when they were scrolling through their feed, and they could easily do something similar to that.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's one of the reasons too, we do that registration incentive. You can even do it as a fundraising incentive for your challenge, but just having something where not only are we, in this case, it was doggy bandanas, which was obviously fuel. I mean, just a perfect gift, because the dogs were the stars of this challenge. But this one specifically, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this example. So when you mail out these incentives, it becomes, whether again, fundraising or registration, it becomes this frenzy of posts in the group, right? It's amazing content. Check out we got our bandana today, or like, hey, who's halfway, or let's log these miles together. So we gave them the content a lot without specifically saying, go post this on your page. We did coach people to say, like, someone would post something like this, for example, Carrie had this wonderful post that was on her fundraiser, but she had posted something like this in the group, in the comments, it's 100% okay to say, Carrie, this is fantastic. This is something that is amazing to post on your personal fundraising page. Use this link to get there. We like, this is awesome. Keep it going. So we did group coaching, we did individual coaching, but we definitely help them tell their stories. That's the most important part of this.
This was our champion, Jessica, again, but she had a really great idea. So Jessica, unfortunately lost her father to suicide. And so she was planning to start her fundraiser around his anniversary, but then also there was a way that she also tied it into the Betty White challenge when Betty White passed, because there was a particular day where it started the Betty White challenge where you did something for an animal organization. So she really tied in her, not only her love for Betty, but the love for her father in order to encourage donations and involvement and engagement.
Oops, sorry. See,
Yeah.
I only did it once.
And these are really creative. So we did create a miles tracker for participants to use. I would say Meredith here on the right put my miles tracker to shame. She went into Canva and created her own and did a fantastic job. So there were a lot of people who actually created their own as well. And to be honest, you know, when we do this again, I probably will steal some of their ideas because they did a phenomenal job in creating really, really creative trackers that they use. And then here on the left, you'll see this participant actually tied into her goal. She changed her goal for her fundraiser to reflect when her son had actually attempted. And so he is fortunately okay, but she wanted to be able to tie it into something personal as she shared her story with others. And so she had her fundraising goal reflect that in order to honor her son as well.
Great. So just a quick recap, and then we'll make sure we have time for questions, is one, lighting the fire. So starting a new group, if possible, we say it's best practice. So starting that new group and getting people into that group, getting the party started a little bit early, having those champions that are going to help you love on those folks and nurture that culture as well. Building that community and ownership, again, setting kind of the tone, providing additional content, but really allowing the group to show up authentically, whatever that means to them. And then making the participants the heroes. So helping them share their stories out into their networks are the three most important things for this. So I'm going to put my email address up here, and this pink screen is going to like make me really blushy. One of the things, not only, and so when we send out the follow-up email, we're going to send you obviously this deck. I'm also going to include a PDF file of some of the best group posts that we have seen that we know work, to help you start with the ideas of how, you know, what you group, how do I start? Or when I do start, what group post do I do? How do I make this a conversation versus talking directly at people? So I will leave this up. I will, oops, I said that. I will, we'll open it up for questions. We can dive into anything specific that you have questions on. Ashley and I will hang out for a few minutes if there are questions. And like I said, we'll send all this as a follow-up, but thank you guys for your time. Ashley, we did exactly, we left 15 minutes for questions. That was our goal. So rock on, sister. Use the chat or the Q&A, whatever you want, and we will address that. I did get a couple, let me just double check. We did get one from Miss Sue about retention when you start a new group. Sue, I think you were correct that that would be, so the question, sorry, is can you tell the retention numbers when you start a new group? And so I'm going to guess that's in terms of fundraising or who's activating in the challenge. So no, we would help you do that in GivePanel. When you start a new group, you would lose some of that retention information. But we think it's definitely the right trade-off to get the active fundraising increased. This is, I wish we had photos of our dogs up. We could brag about our puppies while people are typing questions. Taco did really good. Jeff came downstairs, but there were balls dropped at my feet only twice during this call. So that is a win for me. Cool. Well, we'll hang out for a couple more minutes. My email address is here, like I said. shoot us questions you have, or happy to chat offline or continue this conversation, or talk specifically about how you can incorporate that on your specific event or challenge. We're happy to help. Ashley is now officially a Facebook online community expert. One of the things, Ashley, well, let me just ask you this. I'll post some questions too. Can you just, and this group was big. This was a big, we say pilot, but this group expanded. We did a really great job with the ads and kind of getting the people into the group. Can you just talk a little bit about the time commitment of what that looked like for you and or your champions? And you know, this community, I just want to, you know, we talk a lot about tips and tricks to make it work, but it doesn't just happen on its own. Like, how much time were you spending in groups?
Full transparency, the first 2 weeks, it was, I did nothing else. I was about from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. was on it. Now, the caveat to that there is, our organization is different from others. You know, for me, it was a priority to make sure that if someone had posted a message that we needed to address, that someone was there to address it. So, you know, I want to add that caveat because I don't think it's the same for everybody. But again, the first 2 weeks, it was constant. After that, I would probably say I was checking in with it each hour. Also, small caveat, that is the nature of me. I am very controlling in that sense. So I, again, would say that that's not, now for us, it wouldn't work of checking in like twice a day. For me, again, the constant made me more comfortable. So I really devoted myself solely to this project when it's happening. For the champions, I will be honest, there was one champion in particular who loved this challenge and was in it all day long because she wanted to be. It wasn't like a requirement for her. She just loved the group and wanted to be in it. And she said it made her happy to see all the dogs all day. So she was in it probably the most than anyone else. But the champions, typically after the 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, average, I would say about 2 hours a day, just checking in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, liking posts, posting something. Sometimes they would skip a day, which was fine because at that point the community had taken off. So after that first 2 weeks of setting the tone, it was a lot less for the champions.
Perfect. Yeah, and just to add on to that, I mean, I know that the AFSP was even able to contact people within minutes sometimes of like some sensitive post happening and someone saying like, this is me raising my hand. I need help. I need resources. I don't know what to do. And so kudos to, I know that looks different for other organizations, like you said, but I know that that played a huge part in kind of that constant contact, but people needed the help. Another question for me, and then I think we've got one from Ms. Sue as well, is for your champion. So when you do this again, and now we know, especially now we have a machine that we spend, you know, we put almost $9 into, or $1 and it spits out almost $9 each time. So we're excited to scale this and grow this, which means bigger groups, which I know is a lot for AFSP. What advice would you give, or what will you do differently or to enhance kind of the champions? Like, will you find more? Will you look for specific qualities? Like how will Ashley get help for the next challenge?
So with the next challenge, our current plan is to, so AFSP just organizationally has 5 divisions. We have the kind of the map divided by those 5 divisions. And so we plan on recruiting staff. Again, we are going to rely on staff from each of those divisions to then be champions. We're looking at probably, 3 to 4 champions per division who will be dedicated to this. And internally, we're doing some incentives for those staff members for the time that they're going to be putting in for this.
Perfect. And then Ms. Sue has a question about using volunteers as champions. Is there a reason you focus more on staff? I'll talk kind of what I've seen from other groups, but talk about using volunteers and staff, especially for the mission of your org, and kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for the pilot, I would say, which, that's what we just completed was the pilot. For the pilot, it was just easier for me to use staff members. I knew who they were. They were dog owners who already post all of the time about their dogs. It was just kind of a plug and play for that. And plus they had AFSP information. One of the champions was one of the ones that were very quick to respond to questions. She would get in there. She was just perfect in that sense. I am going to continue with staff members just because, again, it's an ease thing for me, because they know the information and they can intervene should any messages need to be addressed quickly. But also we've built in this idea for an incentive for our staff members across the country, so that this isn't just a national project. It is because we have a long roadmap plan on how we can then take this to the chapter level. And so this is just that baby step towards that. So it makes sense for what our overall vision is to continue to use our staff as champions. So we don't want to use volunteers because our volunteers would probably mostly be from Facebook. And again, you're relying on, you don't know what the dedication level is on that for them to be part of that champion process.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you that we've worked with other organizations such as Children's Trooper Foundation, Boys and Girls Club, things with just different, I'm just saying those two as an example to show kind of the differences in terms of like health org or social or whatever this might be in terms of the mission. And they have relied heavier on volunteers. So big organizations and small organizations do use volunteers. I know that, again, the mission content is a little bit more sensitive for AFSP, but you 100% can empower volunteers to do this. We recommend doing and Ashley did this for her champions as well, even though they were staff. We train them. We did a WhatsApp group. So we were in constant contact of like, hey, this is what we're seeing, or we need help with this. So I think that is helpful. And then, so it's really the bandwidth of either your staff and or your volunteers. It's a great job for volunteers to spend time in Facebook. And again, like Ashley said, there was someone that was staff, but as a champion, like loved just being in there because of the content, right? It was dogs, it was people supporting each other. I mean, I even went in there on some rainy days and was like, okay, let's keep going. Tell us about the Facebook ads. Were they targeted to a specific audience? So purposely for this challenge, we did a very broad target. So we did not focus on one specific region. We did not specifically focus on men, women, or an age group. The beauty of a Facebook challenge, and I'm happy to talk offline with anybody who was interested in doing a challenge, and then you can go to Ashley and say, okay, tell me the good, the bad, the ugly, but I'll tell you how to project for this and what this looks like. But we do a broad targeting because you go Facebook ad to lead form. And that lead form is really Facebook doing its magic. So Facebook, by keeping it broad, Facebook is helping you find the right people. And once we did hit a certain number of fundraisers, we did start to look for lookalikes like those specific fundraisers that our agency partner helped us do that as well. But you can keep your ads very broad and very basic and have a really great response rate from that. So not only was this a fundraising success, but again, the acquisition for the organization. So we say a typical pilot, a Facebook pilot, challenge pilot, we'll see 90% brand new folks. So 90% of the people that register will be brand new to the organization. So you're raising money, you're finding new people. How did you set your budget and goals for your first challenge, not knowing the success rate? Have you done multiple challenges after this one, and how did they compare in numbers? I'll take the budget and goals one because we kind of held your hand on that. I feel like we maybe sandbagged it a little bit, but we didn't know. So we have, that's a great question, Leanne. We have GivePanel can actually help with a calculator. So I have a calculator that I can send to you and or we can look through together that basically we price it based on, we kind of start with, if you know how many doggy bandanas or t-shirts or beanies or sunglasses or whatever your incentive is, typically that's the hardest thing in terms of inventory. So we kind of break down from there based on best practices. So we know in a typical challenge pilot that X% are going to go from the ad to the group. X% of that group are going to register. X% are going to actively fundraise. And this is the average of the fundraising. So we kind of help build out that forecast. I will say with this challenge, we crushed those goals and it was awesome to see. So again, we talked about at the beginning, we actually had to turn off the registrations because we didn't have any more doggy bandanas. How do we know? We would have told Ashley, hey, order 9,000 doggy bandanas because you're already doing the work. Let's raise more money. So we will help you do that. This was the first and only challenge thus far, and it's only April. So we did the wrap up in March, and now we're having conversations about next challenges. Ashley, you want to talk a little bit more about challenges in the future and what that might look like for AFSP, or do you know yet?
Yeah, no, so we are doing another challenge. We're looking at March of next year, just because of the timeline of our organization, because we're about to head into our walk season. We didn't want to have any confusing, should someone be participating in our walks and find this. So we thought it would be easier to do it yearly at around the time that we did. We're going to bump it back 1 month since February did cause some weather issues. We can't always help that, but we're going to bump it back 1 month to try to help with that. And then just to reference the budget again, like Megan said, the GivePanel did provide a budget. I will say some things worked in our favor, just logistically behind the curtain, because it was estimating on t-shirts. We went with bandanas, which were much cheaper. But again, where we were able to get more bandanas because it doesn't equate to the amount of a t-shirt. We didn't spend as much on ads because the ads did overwhelmingly well. So we didn't even hit the budget on the ads. So everything at the end of the day evened out that we hit the budget number that they presented to me that I had approved. We hit it exactly. And for me, that was what we were trying to do, is figure out if we hit all of the numbers that we discussed before we did this, then yes, we want to upscale, because we know that when GivePanel presents the next numbers, we will hit those as well. So this was kind of like a proof in the pudding type situation.
Yeah, that's great. And we say start small. So this pilot, although our pilot got big, but we start small so we can learn the lesson. So we learned several things from this challenge. So then when we're doing projections for the next bigger challenge, we can say, okay, we know that we can do X, Y, Z. Maybe we can tweak, maybe we can increase that average fundraising by doing these best practices, things like that. So I think it really depends on, in terms of, and I can send multiple case studies if you're interested. We have organizations that kind of run the same size challenge multiple times a year, and they see it do really well. We see organizations scale from the pilot to, okay, let's go do this. We do have organizations that do $1 million in a challenge. So it just depends again on like your organization's goals and or bandwidth. I'm actually pitching out Ashley a very large challenge. So we will talk offline more about that. But this is like perfect proof that this can work and can be scaled. Sky's the limit, I think, on this. So just looking at bandwidth is really our focus. But yeah, happy to share that. Lynn, I'll reach out to you after this call. I'm happy to share that template and talk to you about some case studies too. Great questions. All right, we are basically at time. Thank you everyone so much for joining. Hope you have a wonderful day. Again, please reach out to me, Megan@givepanel.com, if you have questions or want to dive into this further. I will follow up with that email, like I said, where we'll also provide some of the best practices for group posts, and we'll continue sharing the learnings as we find them. Thank you to my co-presenter, Ashley. Thank you for the time. Doing this now twice with me. I really appreciate you, but I think we're helping organizations raise lots of money.
Yes, glad to be here.
Great. Thanks, everyone.